Every night during movies, my wife points at the screen and says that's what a real man should look like. You. God, how did I even marry you? You're disgusting to look at. This happens literally every single evening we watch anything together. I don't even know where to start with this mess. I'm 32, been married for 6 years, and I feel like I'm slowly dying inside. My wife Sarah has this thing where she can't watch a single movie or TV show without comparing me to every attractive guy on screen. And it's not just casual comments, it's brutal, detailed criticism that leaves me feeling worthless. It started maybe 2 years ago. We were watching some action movie, I can't even remember which one, and she pointed at the lead actor and said, "Now that's what I call attractive. Look at those shoulders, that jawline. Why can't you look like that?" I laughed it off at first, thought she was just joking around. But then it kept happening. Every single night, we'd sit down to watch something together, used to be our favorite thing to do, and within minutes she'd find someone to compare me to. Look at his abs. Look at his arms. Look at how confident he walks. Then she'd turn to me with this look of genuine disgust and start listing everything wrong with me. Your shoulders are too narrow. Your stomach is soft and gross. Your face is just bland. No character, no strength in your features. Even your hair looks lifeless compared to his. She'd go on for minutes sometimes, picking apart every aspect of my appearance while some perfect Hollywood guy filled our TV screen. The worst part? She'd get genuinely angry when I tried to change the channel or suggest we do something else. You can't handle seeing what a real man looks like? She'd snap. Maybe if you put some effort into yourself instead of running away from reality, you wouldn't be so insecure. I started avoiding movie nights. Made excuses, had to work late, wasn't feeling well, wanted to read instead. But she'd get suspicious and angry about that too. You're being weird and distant. We never spend time together anymore. So I'd give in and the cycle would repeat. 3 months ago, things got really dark. We were watching some romantic comedy and she paused it right on the male lead's face. "This is what I dreamed about when I was younger," she said, staring at the screen. "This is the type of man I thought I'd end up with. Strong, handsome, confident. Someone who'd make me proud to be seen with them." Then she looked at me and I swear I've never seen such disappointment in someone's eyes. Instead I got this. "I look at you sometimes and I feel embarrassed. Embarrassed that this is what I settled for. When we're out together and I see other couples, I wonder what people think when they see us. Probably feel sorry for me." I tried to defend myself, tried to point out that I work hard, that I love her, that there's more to a relationship than looks. She just rolled her eyes. "That's what ugly people always say. It's what's on the inside that counts. But you know what? The inside matters too, and lately even that's been disappointing." That night I cried in the bathroom for an hour. I looked at myself in the mirror and tried to see what she saw. Was I really that hideous? Had I let myself go that badly? I started obsessing over my appearance, spending money we didn't have on gym memberships, new clothes, skincare products. Nothing seemed to make a difference in her eyes. The comments got more frequent and more vicious. She'd compare me to guys in commercials, in magazines, even to random men we'd see on the street. See him? That's what taking care of yourself looks like. That's what having pride in your appearance means. I felt like I was being constantly evaluated and constantly found lacking. My confidence completely evaporated. I started slouching more, avoiding eye contact with people, wearing baggy clothes to hide my body. At work, people asked if I was okay. I looked tired all the time, distracted, depressed. My performance started slipping because I couldn't stop thinking about all the ways I was apparently disgusting and inadequate. 6 weeks ago, I had a breakdown. We were watching some superhero movie and she started her usual routine. But this time, something in me just snapped. I stood up and screamed at her, really screamed, louder than I'd ever raised my voice before. "I can't take this anymore. Every single day you tell me how disgusting I am. I'm your husband, not some random guy you get to judge and critique." She looked shocked. I'd never yelled at her before, had always just taken it quietly. "I'm just being honest," she said, but her voice was smaller than usual. "You're being too sensitive." "No." I shouted back. "This isn't normal. This isn't what marriage is supposed to be like. You're supposed to love me, not spend every evening explaining why I'm repulsive." I grabbed my keys and left. Drove around for 3 hours, just thinking. About our relationship, about myself, about what I was willing to accept. When I came home, she was in bed pretending to be asleep, but I could tell she'd been crying. We didn't talk for 2 days. The silence was actually peaceful compared to the constant criticism. But I knew we couldn't go on like this forever. Update 1. A lot of you asked me to talk to someone about this, and honestly, your comments were the first time I realized how messed up this situation really was. I'd gotten so used to it that it started feeling normal. Thank you for that reality check. I decided to try talking to her first, one more serious conversation before making any big decisions. Last Thursday, I sat her down and told her exactly how her comments were affecting me. I used some of the language you guys suggested: emotionally abusive, destroying my self-esteem, not normal behavior in a loving relationship. Her reaction surprised me. She got defensive at first, said I was being dramatic and that she was just trying to help motivate me to improve myself. But when I started giving her specific examples, exact quotes of things she'd said, dates when particularly bad incidents happened, I could see something shift in her face. I didn't realize I was saying it that much, she said quietly. I thought it was just occasional comments. I pulled out my phone and showed her a note I'd been keeping for the past month. Every single comment, every comparison, every criticism. There were 47 entries in 30 days. Her face went white when she saw it. Jesus, she whispered. I really said all this? We talked for hours that night. Really talked for the first time in months. She admitted that she'd been feeling unhappy in general, not just with me, but with her job, with her life, with herself. She said she'd been gaining weight and feeling insecure about her own appearance, and somehow taking it out on me made her feel better temporarily. It's like, if I could point out all your flaws, I didn't have to think about my own, she said, crying. I know that's horrible. I know that's not fair to you. I just felt so unhappy with everything, and you were the safest target because I knew you wouldn't leave me. That last part hit me hard. She was right, I had been taking it because I loved her and didn't want to lose her. But I was losing myself instead. She promised to stop the comments immediately and suggested we both start individual counseling. I was skeptical. Promises are easy to make when you're caught and confronted. But I wanted to believe her, so I agreed to try. The first week was better. We watched 2 movies together and she didn't make a single comparison. But I could tell she was struggling not to say things. I'd catch her opening her mouth and then closing it quickly, or see her looking back and forth between me and the screen with this frustrated expression. Then last weekend happened. We were watching some action movie and the main character took his shirt off for some beach scene. I saw her face change, saw that familiar look of disappointment as she glanced at me. At least he doesn't have that gross belly hair, she muttered, almost under her breath. My heart sank. Sarah, you promised. What? I didn't say anything about you specifically. You looked right at me when you said it. After we just talked about this. She got angry then, said I was being oversensitive and looking for problems. That I was trying to police her thoughts and she couldn't even have an opinion anymore. That's when I realized that the conversation hadn't actually changed anything fundamental. She was just trying to be more subtle about it, but the underlying attitude was still there. She still saw me as inferior, still felt disappointed in what she'd settled for. I started looking into therapy options for myself because I realized I needed help figuring out what to do next. I also called my brother Mike for the first time in months. We used to be really close, but I've been isolating myself from friends and family because I was so ashamed of how my wife treated me. Mike was furious when I told him everything. Dude, this is insane. This isn't normal. Lisa would never say stuff like this to me, not in a million years. Lisa is his wife of 8 years. Even when I've gained weight or looked like crap, she might gently suggest we work out together or eat healthier, but she's never once called me disgusting or compared me to other guys. Hearing him say that out loud made something click for me. I started thinking about all the couples I knew, my parents, Mike and Lisa, our friends, and I couldn't think of a single other relationship where one person constantly criticized and compared their partner like this. I made an appointment with a counselor for this week. I need to figure out if this marriage is salvageable or if I need to start planning an exit strategy. Update 2. I've been in therapy for 3 weeks now, and it's been eye-opening in ways I didn't expect. My therapist, Dr. Peterson, immediately identified what Sarah was doing as emotional abuse, but more than that, he helped me understand how much damage had been done to my sense of self-worth. You've been living in survival mode, he explained. Your entire identity has become centered around avoiding criticism and trying to become acceptable to someone who's moved the goalposts so many times that you can't even see them anymore. He was right. I hadn't realized how much I'd changed. I used to be confident, social, happy with myself. I had hobbies, friends, goals that had nothing to do with my appearance. Somewhere along the way, I'd become this anxious, self-conscious person who spent hours analyzing every flaw Sarah might notice. Dr. Peterson gave me homework. For 1 week, I had to do things that made me feel good about myself, regardless of what Sarah might think. So I started small. I called my old college roommate Tom, who I hadn't spoken to in over a year. I went to a pickup basketball game at the local court, something I used to love but had stopped doing because Sarah said watching me play was embarrassing. That basketball game was incredible. I was rusty as hell, but being around guys who were just focused on having fun, not judging anyone's appearance, felt like breathing fresh air. One guy, Marcus, complimented my passing. Another, Dave, asked if I wanted to grab a beer after. Simple, normal male friendship with no commentary on whether I measured up to some impossible standard. When I got home, sweaty and happy for the first time in months, Sarah took one look at me and said, "You look gross. Go shower before you sit on the furniture." But instead of feeling ashamed like usual, I felt angry. I just spent 2 hours feeling normal and confident, and within 10 seconds she tried to tear that down. "I'm going to shower because I want to," I said calmly. "Not because you think I look gross." Her eyes narrowed. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means I'm not going to let your opinion of my appearance control how I feel about myself anymore." She laughed, but it wasn't a nice laugh. "Good luck with that. Reality doesn't change just because you want it to." That weekend I had what Dr. Peterson called a breakthrough moment. We were watching TV and some cologne commercial came on with a typical ridiculously attractive male model. I waited for Sarah's comment and sure enough it came. Now that's what masculine looks like. That confidence, that presence. Some men just have it and some. She trailed off, looking at me with that familiar expression of disappointment. But instead of shrinking into myself like usual, I stood up and turned off the TV. "We need to talk," I said. "About what?" "I was watching that. About us. About this marriage. About whether we both want to be in it." She looked genuinely surprised. "What are you talking about?" "Of course I want to be married to you." "No, you don't," I said, and saying it out loud felt both terrifying and liberating. "You want to be married to some fantasy version of me that looks like a movie star. You've made it clear for 2 years that the actual me disgusts you. So why are we doing this?" She started crying then. "I love you. I do. I want you to be the best version of yourself. Sarah, this isn't about me becoming a better version of myself. This is about you being fundamentally disappointed in who I am as a person. You've told me I'm disgusting. You've said you're embarrassed to be seen with me. You've compared me to other men literally hundreds of times. That's not love. But I married you," she said, like that proved something. "Yeah, and now you act like you regret it every single day." We talked until 3 a.m. that night. Really talked, not just her making promises she couldn't keep. I told her I'd been in therapy, that I was starting to understand how unhealthy our dynamic had become. I said I needed her to start individual therapy too, and that we needed couples counseling if she wanted to save the marriage. More importantly, I told her the comments had to stop completely. Not just toned down or made more subtle, but completely stopped. "I can't live my life walking on eggshells, waiting for you to find something wrong with my appearance," I said. "I can't be in a relationship where I'm constantly being compared to other men and found lacking. That's not a marriage, it's emotional torture." She agreed to everything. Individual therapy, couples counseling, no more appearance-related comments. She seemed to finally understand how serious this was. For 2 weeks, things were actually good. Better than they'd been in years. We talked about other things, work, current events, memories from when we were dating. She started her own therapy and seemed to be making an effort to address whatever was driving her behavior. But then last Tuesday happened. We were having dinner and watching the news, and some story came on about a local firefighter who'd rescued a family from a burning building. The guy was being interviewed and he was conventionally attractive, tall, fit, strong jawline, the whole thing. Sarah watched the interview with this dreamy expression, then turned to me and said, "Now that's a real man. Someone who risks his life for others, who stays in that kind of shape, who has that kind of presence. That's what I always imagined my husband would be like." The disappointment in her voice when she said it was devastating. After everything we talked about, after all her promises, she was still doing it. Still comparing me to other men and finding me inadequate. But this time I didn't collapse inward. I didn't feel ashamed or try to defend myself. I just felt tired. "I'm done," I said quietly. "Done with what?" "Done with this marriage. Final update. I moved out 3 weeks ago. I know some of you were hoping we'd work it out, and honestly, part of me was hoping that too. But that comment about the firefighter was the moment I realized Sarah didn't actually want to change, she just wanted me to stop complaining about her behavior. Dr. Peterson helped me understand that this pattern had become too deeply ingrained. Even if Sarah could learn to stop making the comments out loud, she'd still be thinking them. She'd still see me as a disappointment, still be fundamentally unhappy with who I was as a person. "You can't build a healthy relationship on a foundation of contempt," he told me. "And that's what this has become. She holds you in contempt and you've internalized the contempt for yourself." The separation has been harder than I expected, but also liberating in ways I didn't anticipate. I'm staying with my brother Mike temporarily while I look for my own place. Lisa, his wife, has been incredibly kind. She keeps telling me I'm a good guy and that I deserve better. Simple words, but after years of hearing the opposite, they mean everything. I've been going to that basketball game twice a week now. I joined a hiking group that meets on weekends. I'm reading books again, something I'd stopped doing because Sarah would make comments about me wasting time instead of working out. I'm remembering who I was before I became this anxious, self-conscious person walking on eggshells. Sarah has been calling and texting constantly. She's angry, confused, desperate. She keeps saying she'll change, that she's sorry, that she didn't mean it. She went to 2 therapy sessions and then quit, claiming the therapist was trying to make her feel guilty for having standards. That right there told me everything I needed to know. Last week, she showed up at Mike's house while I was there. She looked terrible, like she hadn't been sleeping or eating much. She begged me to come home, promised she'd never make another comment about my appearance. I love you exactly as you are, she said through tears. I was just having a hard time and I took it out on you. It had nothing to do with you. For a moment, I almost believed her. Almost packed my things and went back. Because despite everything, I did love her. I loved the woman I married, the woman she could be when she wasn't tearing me down. But then I thought about something Dr. Peterson had said: love without respect isn't really love. It's dependency, or habit, or fear of being alone. But it's not love. Sarah, I said as gently as I could, you've spent 2 years telling me in great detail exactly what you think of my appearance. You've compared me to dozens of other men and explained why I don't measure up. You've called me disgusting and said you're embarrassed to be seen with me. I believe you when you say you want to change, but I don't believe you when you say you love me exactly as I am. Because if you did, you never would have said those things in the first place. She left crying, and I felt terrible. I still feel terrible. Ending a 6-year marriage isn't something you do lightly even when you know it's right. But here's the thing, for the first time in 2 years, I don't hate looking at myself in the mirror. I don't automatically assume I'm the ugliest person in any room I walk into. I'm starting to remember that I'm not actually disgusting, that the problem wasn't my appearance, it was being in a relationship with someone who needed to make me feel small in order to feel better about herself. I filed for divorce last Monday. No kids and we don't own much together, so it should be straightforward. Sarah is fighting it, still insisting we can work things out, but I've made my decision. My therapist says recovery from this kind of emotional abuse takes time, that I shouldn't be surprised if I have trust issues or self-esteem problems in future relationships. But he also says I'm making the right choice, that staying would have destroyed whatever self-worth I had left. Mike has been incredible through all of this. So has Lisa. They keep reminding me of who I used to be, showing me photos from before Sarah and I got married where I'm smiling and confident and happy. This is who you really are, Lisa told me yesterday. That guy Sarah was married to, that wasn't you. That was just a scared, beaten-down version of you trying to survive. I'm starting to believe her. I know some of you might think I gave up too easily, that marriage is about working through problems together. And maybe you're right. Maybe if Sarah had truly committed to changing, if she'd stuck with therapy, if she'd shown real remorse instead of just promising to be more careful with her words, things could have been different. But I also think there's a point where you have to stop setting yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. I spent 2 years trying to become acceptable to someone who had decided I was fundamentally unacceptable. I can't spend the rest of my life doing that. I'm 32 years old. I have hopefully decades ahead of me. I want to spend them with someone who thinks I'm attractive, or at least someone who doesn't think I'm disgusting. I want to watch movies without commentary on how I compare to the men on screen. I want to feel confident in my own skin again. For anyone going through something similar, it's not normal. It's not okay. You don't have to accept it just because you love someone. Love should make you feel good about yourself, not worse. I'm not saying my marriage couldn't have been saved. I'm saying I couldn't have saved it and saved myself at the same time. And I chose myself. It's going to be okay. We're going to be okay. Thanks for listening, Reddit. Your support meant more than you know.